When I was in grade 11, I asked the internet a question. 142 people answered, 8,000 other people followed the question, and till this day it has been viewed 320,000 times. The question was, as someone who wants to live a comfortable life, should I choose a career based in my reality or my dream? My reality was a common one amongst immigrant families. Both of my parents were professional managers before we immigrated to Canada. And we lived comfortably until 3 days after my 8th birthday, we flew into Montreal in the dead of winter. Our lives had to start from scratch again. And like most other skilled worker immigrants, both of my parents went back to school, which meant that for the next 2 to 3 years, we had zero income. And we had to save every last penny. Other immigrants gave us some tips on survival. I remember every July 1st, we would go roam the streets of Montreal because that was the day when everybody moved. So my dad and a couple neighbors would go see people would leave perfectly good furnitures on the streets, and we would go pick out whichever suited our little apartments. And half of our furnitures came about this way. 2 years later, when my parents were done with their studies, they found work, and things got much better. But those first 3 years of thriftiness really left a mark on all of us. So like a good child of immigrant, I became an overachiever. And I said I was gonna go to an Ivy League school, get a great paying job, snatch a rich husband, and hold on to that upper middle class and never let it go again. That would have been the right thing to do until I found my undeniable passion in music. It started in grade 10 when I started taking music lessons as a complement to my IB studies. But soon enough, every other subject started to seem like a third wheel standing between me and music. I would get to school at 7:30 in the morning to rehearse with my rock band. During lunch, I'd play double bass and jazz band. After school, I played flute and concert band. And when I got home, I'd practice piano for 2 hours until getting to dinner and then homework, which I finished as fast as I could so that I'd have some time to make my own music before I was forced to go to sleep. And I did this day after day. So one day I started dreaming. What if music was my job? What if I get paid doing this thing that I love the most? And that was a dream that felt much more vivid than luxurious condos and fancy cars. So I go to my parents and I say, Mom, Dad, I want to be a professional musician. You should have seen the looks on their faces. First they were amused, and then not so much. And then anger started filling them like a kettle that's ready to boil. How dare you throw away your life after everything we've done for you, after everything we've sacrificed? So I know I'd be on my own for this. So I waited and contemplated on this decision until the summer before grade 12, when I really had to choose. So I turned for help, the only place I trusted, the internet. And I asked, how should I choose between my reality and my dream? Should I choose a more traditional career path that promises more financial security, or my dream, which I'm so passionate about, but promises nothing? Out of the 142 answers I received, 3 stood out and changed the course of my life. Advice number 1, turn your fears into quantifiable needs. My biggest fear about pursuing my dream was obviously financial insecurity. I mean, I don't want to pick up furnitures from the streets anymore, ever again. But what if I'll have to? Because I don't know how much money I can make from music. What if I stay broke for the rest of my life? Wait, said one person who answered my question. Before you get scared, do you know how much you need to be not scared? That made me pause. I was so caught up worrying about being broke, I hadn't thought much about what it would mean to be not broke. And so I sat myself down and made my first budget. First, I calculated how much I needed for necessities, like housing, transportation, food. Second, the luxuries like shopping, going out with friends, traveling, and finally, how much I wanted to save each month. When I was done, I was staring at financial security on a spreadsheet. Looking at that number, my fears turned into tangible goals, because now it would be a matter of how many songs do I need to sell, how many films do I need to score, and how many classes do I need to teach to get to this number. By turning my fears into quantifiable needs, I was no longer reaching for the moon. I was building my rocket. Advice number 2, separate what you're expected to do and what you want to do. All of our lives have been shaped by the expectations of our society, our parents, our peers, our media. And if we don't critically separate what we're expected to do and what we want to do, it's easy to get caught up living the life you think you should live instead of the life you want to live. It's like if I were to go to parties that I don't really enjoy, just to take pictures and post them on Instagram. It's easy to convince everyone else that I'm a thriving socialite. It's harder to convince myself that I had a good time. My parents expected my life to be fully predictable, smooth sailing for their peace of mind. My online followers wanted me to be as famous as I can get for the thrill of it. And when I recognized that neither of these narratives were my own, I put them both on hold. Because I don't want to live for neither the approval or admiration of anyone else. I wanted to live for my own self-actualization. So for the first time, I allowed myself complete freedom to reimagine my life in all of its possibilities. And what I learned is that what I want for my life is an adventure and the ability to make connections with others through music. Advice number 3 was a bit of a mind twister. They said, if you're gonna fail doing something you love, because no success in the world is guaranteed. I might still fail at either because a safer choice is not a guaranteed choice. And I thought that made sense. So if I chose an uninspiring but safer route, and if I succeeded, I'd be content at best. But if I failed, how meaningless will it be, knowing that this wasn't even what I wanted to do in the first place? And if I pull myself through 4 years of school, and the moment I graduate, bam, COVID hits. Now I'm stuck at home with a job I barely care about, that I still have to do for 8 hours a day, that I can't quit. And that's if I'm lucky. If I'm unlucky, I'm stuck at home, jobless, holding on to my degree, swallowing the bitterness and the irony that I chose this for its safety. And that's the world we live in today. Everything is changing so fast that maybe nothing is safe anymore, except the age-old saying that what you get is what you give. And I was ready to give everything I had to music. And so, following these 3 advice, I decided that it would be in my best interest to pursue my dreams. Then something miraculous happened. I succeeded so much faster because work didn't feel like work. And I became financially independent by 20 years old doing exclusively music-related work. Now I'm 24. I co-founded my company, ICTUS Audio, and we make sound design and original music for films, advertisements, and other artists. I also mentor other teens who want to be professional musicians. To my parents' greatest surprise, my annual income is on par with my friends on Wall Street. By doing hard work that didn't feel as hard, I was able to make my dream my reality. Now, if I were able to go back 8 years and talk to my 16-year-old self, answer my own question, I would add advice number 4. If you want to do something with your life, research it as much as possible, as thoroughly as you can. Because as I later found out, a career and livelihood in music isn't as impossible as I thought it would be. I just knew too little about all of the jobs it held. And had I done research in the right places, perhaps my dilemma between reality and dream wouldn't have been a dilemma at all. Still, I'm immensely grateful to everyone who has helped me through my journey so far, especially the 3 strangers who gave me those 3 pieces of advice that changed my life forever. First, I turned my fears into quantifiable needs, which turned them into action, a plan of attack. Second, I separated what I was expected to do from what I wanted to do, and from that point on, I single-handedly designed my life and lived by my own accord. Number 3, I understood the logic that if I were to fail, better fail at something I love doing. And that gave me the courage to pursue my dreams without having the fear of failure haunting me in my back. But there were moments that I almost thought I'd fail. I went woefully off pitch at a taped and live broadcasted concert. I quit a TV competition that was supposed to be my big break halfway through because I couldn't handle the dieting. And before I found my place in this world, I was told that I wasn't enough in nearly every aspect. And in my darkest moments, all I could remember was this interview I once read. Someone went into care homes and talked to seniors and asked them what their biggest regrets in life were. And one person said, "Of all the regrets I have, the things I didn't do pain me much more than the things I did." And that's why, even in my darkest moments, I have never regretted my decision. Because a song is not its last note, but the whole time it played.